Hello and welcome to Rise Unwind. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week we talk to people from across the country about things you could do right now in your neighborhood. And on this week's show, we got this.
Small changes, guys. So, blackout curtains, right? Soft lighting. Maybe you want to try an Adkison bulb. Less physical clutter in the space. You want nice airflow.
The average person, you, me, our friends, all we need is command of the language. We need a good idea, we need passion, and we need a problem statement that we deeply care about. And we can do this just as well as a software developer can.
And so the atmosphere around HIV was a lot different than it is today. There was an incredible amount of fear and shame that was going on.
All of that and more right here on Rise and Unwind. A lot of action franchises try to go bigger every time, but Jack Ryan Ghost War is also digging into trust, loyalty, and what service really costs. The new film continues the world's fans already know while standing on its own for people jumping in fresh. And joining us today is the legendary Wendell Pierce, who returns as James Greer. Wendell, it's great to have you on the show, my friend. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, James Greer has always been one of the most grounded characters in this world. What do you enjoy most about stepping back into him for Ghost War?
The character of James Greer really reflects some of the people that I met doing the research of this character. Real CIA officers, retired, who have kind of given me their true north to form a more perfect union, and some of the debate that they have within the agency, and but understanding that the shared idealism of working on the mission, which is to form a more perfect union and protect that. Those are shared values. And so stepping back into the role, that's the thing that I'd love to portray. As an actor, you're a student of human behavior. And what you want to do is create the world so strong that it induces that behavior. And that's the great thing about reliving a role like James Greer.
One thing John Krasinski mentioned is that the story works for both longtime fans and for people who've never watched the series. Was that something you felt like while you were making it too?
Oh, absolutely. You don't have to be familiar with the series at all. You can come to this fresh. You will see the history that we have as characters. You will see our relationship. You will see our expertise. And then also you have this story of what's happening now, this casual act that I ask a favor of Jack Ryan to do for me that actually ignites a global espionage chase. And so it is one of those things that people who have seen the series can come to and appreciate the next level of where we take the characters, and people who come to this fresh and new. But what we do over the course of a series, put into a 2-hour movie, is just heightened and it makes it a lot more intense.
And you said it's been heightened, it's more cinematic, a little bigger, but it also keeps the political and moral tensions that Tom Clancy's stories are known for. What kind of balance does this film strike between action and some of the character?
Well, I think it's very important. I'm very proud of the fact that we keep the debate happening about the clarity of mission and clarity of what values are, and the political debate that happens around that, because that is happening within the world, what happens within the agency, and it makes you, as the viewer, look at it and decide what your values are. That's the forum of what filmmaking should be about, the place where we collectively come together, reflect on who we are, decide where we want to go, decide what our values are, maybe bring that into our lives. And so I love that we have that debate, and at the same time have some of the best cinematic thrill sequences of action comparable to the French Connection and Marathon Man and all of that. So I'm very proud of the cinematic and the debate that happens within the film.
And fans, they know you from so many incredible roles from over the years, but there's something about Greer that people really connect with. What do you think keeps audiences invested in this character and this franchise?
I try to make James Greer a everyman. That people look at it and go, there but by the grace of God go I. That they can see themselves in James Greer. He's a man of pragmatism. He's a family man. He's flawed. as he tried and did not succeed in keeping his family together. But with all of that, he is principled, and he attempts to hang on to his principles and values. And people will see themselves in that, not someone who's perfect, but someone who's pragmatic and at least tries to live by some sort of moral code. And that's who we all are, and that's who we are when we dream of who we can become. So that's the thing that makes him prescient, and personal. And that's what I pride myself on when I try to portray him.
Yeah, thanks for being here today. Jack Ryan, Ghost War premieres May 20th on Prime Video. Wendell Pierce, I want to thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
A parent's worst nightmare is not knowing the truth about what happened to their child. That's the mystery at the center of Netflix's new thriller, I Will Find You. The series follows a father serving time for his son's murder who suddenly receives evidence that his child may still be alive, setting off a desperate search for answers. Today, we're joined by Milo Ventimiglia, who stars as Hayden in the limited series. Welcome to the show, Milo. How are you?
Well, Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. For people who haven't started I Will Find You yet, what grabbed you about this story and made you want to be part of it?
The complexity, as well as, being a parent myself and God forbid anything happens to your child, you're going to go to the ends of the earth to find out what's going on, and hopefully get your kid back to safety. But, I found a lot of common ground with Harlan Coben and Robbie Hull, our showrunner, and was excited to do scene work with Sam Worthington and Britt Lauer and Jonathan Tucker and Logan Browning and everybody involved. Chad McBride, who, it's funny, like in my 30 years of filmmaking, like I've been on set with just about everybody on the cast to work, to be reunited and work again. So just go spend a summer with my friends making something cool.
Hayden becomes involved in a mystery that's filled with twists and secrets. What can you tell us about your character and where he fits into this story?
So Hayden Payne, I play a wealthy philanthropist who was previously connected to Britt Lauer's character, Rachel, who is the previous sister-in-law, former sister-in-law to David, Sam Worthington's character. When he breaks out of prison and goes on the hunt for his son, I come into the fold as someone who's just wanting to help. I'm there to help, use my resources, my time, whatever I can to help this man find his son.
And the series, it balances suspense, family drama, and a lot of emotional stakes. What was it like bringing those different elements together as an actor?
We're constantly doing that, role to role, job to job, show to show. You're always bringing together that complexity. But, this one was delicate because of what we were set to dance around, the real mystery, the people that were involved in this covering up of a boy who was killed. It was a complex role, but it was, very exciting to be a part of.
And viewers, they know you from projects like This Is Us, Heroes, Gilmore Girls. How did this role change you in a different way?
I think we were playing off of the good graces of those other roles. Jack Pearson, America's Father, people were seeing him, see him in a very golden light. Jess Mariano, who is America's Boyfriend, people are always like rooting for him. Hayden was a different kind of character. I think we were playing off of that admiration that people had for characters from my past and that trust that people had for characters from my past. But Hayden has a darker road to walk, and we were definitely using that to our advantage.
Okay, so without giving anything away, what do you think audiences will be talking about after they finish I Will Find You?
Never saw it coming. God, that was fun. I think I want to watch it again to see if I can figure out if they tip their hat in any way in the beginning of the show. It's just a great ride. It's entertaining, self-contained, and a lot of heart.
Hey, I want to thank you for being here today. I Will Find You is now streaming on Netflix. You can find the series and watch all the episodes at netflix.com or on your Netflix app. Hey, Milo, I want to thank you for joining me today.
No problem. Thanks, Dave.
Ever wonder what happens when family, business, and real life all collide in front of a television audience? The latest season of the McBee Dynasty follows one family as they deal with major challenges on the farm, growing families, and some big decisions about the future. Joining us today are Cole McBee and Kacie Adkison from Bravo's The McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Thank you for having us on today.
All right, for people who may have just been discovering the show, what have surprised viewers most about life on the farm and everything your family is pretty much juggling?
Oh, I would say for my family specifically, it's probably about how much drama we have on this show. I mean, we're 4 brothers, and the amount of drama is absolutely insane. But also, last few years has been probably the toughest years of our life. We've been going through the most problems, and obviously my dad's situation has been a really tough year. So just get to see us in our toughest time, I'd say.
And Cole, this season shows you balancing fatherhood, family responsibilities, and the future of the business. What has that experience been like for you personally?
It's definitely been it's been a lot. It's been a lot of weight on my shoulders, but I definitely would not be able to get through it and be able to do this without Kacie, without Blair, without my family. They're the reason. They're my reason every day, and they're the reason I get up and the reason I'm able to keep going, I guess, and keep pushing through and deal with all the stuff and deal with all the problems while doing this is just because I want to give my family, I want to give my kid and my future kid a better life. And I guess, I don't know, that's just how we keep going and get through all these problems is we do it for each other and for our family.
And Kacie, you're raising a young family while also growing your own business. What have you learned about balancing those two worlds?
It's not easy. And whenever you commit to something like a business, you have to go full in. And I was trying at first to do it out of my kitchen. And then we realized, you know what, that's not going to work. I can't run a business out of my home with my little baby running around. But my child is also my reason behind my business. And I want to just have a successful business and just provide a certain type of lifestyle for her. So, yeah.
And one thing that stands out about the series is that viewers get to see both the business side and your personal side of your lives. Was there a moment this season that was especially difficult or maybe even rewarding to share on camera?
Obviously, with my dad's situation, I mean, we filmed the day of, the day before, the day after. We filmed every single day through that week. And watching your dad get sentenced to prison, which I know people have gone through this and gone through much worse, but it's not fun to go through. It's not easy to go through. It's something that's pretty tough. So that would be, I don't think that would be too much fun to watch back just because we're moving on from that and we've been moving on from that. But I still think that's pretty, that's a lot for a family to put out there. And we definitely put it all out there. So I just hope people, show some respect to the fact that we're going through the toughest part of our life and we just wanted to put it all out there for people to see. And when we started this show years ago, that was the one thing we all agreed on. We're like, hey, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. We're going to put it all out there. We're going to show 100% of everything. We're going to be authentic. And that's exactly what we've been. Probably shown a little too much. Probably should have calmed down a little bit in the past seasons or not been so authentic. But that's just who we are. And we're just an open book. So we put it all out there and we'll just see how it goes.
Also, with so much changing for the family, what do you hope viewers take away from this season of the McBee Dynasty?
All right. I would say, I just hope people see, I've been saying this a lot, but to see a family that was going through a tough issue and going through problems, but they stuck together and they grew closer. They got closer as they've ever been in their whole life. And that was the only reason they were able to get through it was that no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what people were saying about us, no matter what Facebook was saying, we kept our nose to the grind and we stuck together as a family and we're getting through this. And I guess what I would want people to know.
All right. If anybody at home would like to catch up on everything happening with the McBee family, you can watch the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys on Bravo, with episodes also available on Peacock. Cole, Kacie, I really want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Medical advances have transformed HIV treatment, but awareness and testing remain critical. Many people still carry outdated assumptions about who HIV affects and what living with it looks like today. Joining us are Helen Everett, a CVS specialty pharmacist, and Christopher Hooper, who brings decades of lived experience managing HIV. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Helen, we still hear a lot of misconceptions about HIV. Why is the belief that it's no longer a serious issue such a dangerous one?
And it is such a dangerous one and a dangerous way to think. We know that HIV is still a public health concern, a public health issue. it's not where it was 80s and 90s, but we have new diagnosis. And what we're seeing an increase in diagnosis with people that are younger, so younger people, and other groups that are the underrepresented communities. So we still have new infections that are occurring in those groups of people.
Helen, with the tools and treatments available today, why is knowing your HIV status still as important as ever?
Because we now know that with HIV, I've been a provider for over 30 years, and previously we would start people on medication later on. But we now know that if you have a diagnosis, you should start medication right away, because that prevents you from getting other diseases, and you can live a long, healthy life like the rest of us. In addition, it also prevents you from transmitting the virus or giving it to other people unknowingly, because we also know that about 13% of people that have HIV, they don't know that they have it, so they're spreading it.
And Christopher, take us back to your diagnosis. What was that experience like, and how did you come to terms with it over time?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long journey. I became HIV positive back in 1992, and so the atmosphere around HIV was a lot different than it is today. There was an incredible amount of fear and shame that was going on in society with that diagnosis, and honestly, they didn't know a lot about the disease at that point. The day that I found out I was HIV positive, I was told, the additional information I was told was that I have maybe 2 years to live. And so, you know, that clearly changed the trajectory of my life completely. And I compartmentalized it, and I buried it and kept it a secret for 30 years. And it wasn't until the CDC declared U equals U, which means undetectable equals untransmittable. So if you're on your medication and taking it regularly, and you do your blood work and you keep your viral load down, that you cannot transmit the disease. And so that was life-changing for me. To get rid of a lot of fear and shame around that, and know that I can't transmit the disease anymore if I take care of myself.
And beyond taking medication, what should people understand about living well with HIV? And what would you tell someone who just got a diagnosis?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize, you know, I get up every day and I take my vitamin and I take one pill. And that's how I manage my HIV. So that it's that simple. For most people. And I would also tell somebody newly diagnosed that, you know, you should just get informed about HIV and your condition, and start building a team of people, medical professionals who are like my pharmacist, Helen, who we've been friends for 10 years and knows about my condition specifically. It's her specialty. Same thing with my primary care physician. And so start building that team. And also it's really important to know that you need emotional support a lot of times. And so if you don't have family or friends that you could reach out to right away to talk about your new diagnosis, lean on them. They're there for you always. They'll talk to you about that. And there's a lot of organizations that they can point you into the right directions for those. And then hopefully at some point you'll start to build your team and be able to talk to some family and friends about it as well.
And Helen, in your work with patients, what's the most important advice you find yourself giving again and again?
To make sure they take their medication. Adherence is very important. To start as soon as you're diagnosed, take the medication every day. There are many options. We know, as Christopher said, he is on a single tablet, and that's a combo medication. There's also long-acting injectables. So you have options. Side effects are minimal. I talked to him about costs. We, as CVS Specialty, we get copay cards in addition to grants if there's a problem paying for the medication. We can provide you with support organizations. We work in collaboration with HIV providers So I tell them that if they need assistance with anything to let us know. And also as a part of medication, if they start other medications to let me know as well, and supplements. But to stay adherent. So take it every day. You can live a long and healthy life, and don't be afraid. And it's not the disease of the past.
All right, where can our viewers go to learn more information?
CVShealth.com.
Hey, I want to thank you too for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
AI is opening the door for more people to turn ideas into businesses, from side hustles to full-scale startups. Founders have now found tools to help them move faster and do more without needing a technical background. Joining us today is Deep Ubi, Global Head of Technology at Startups at Amazon Web Services, to talk about how AI is changing the startup landscape. Welcome to the show, Deep. How are you?
I'm well, Dan. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're hearing about AI everywhere right now. How is it helping fuel this new wave of startups that we're seeing?
Yeah, great question, Dan. I mean, I think the easiest way to answer that is that it has effectively eliminated the barrier that existed historically for people to be able to write code and build software. You know, this was the dominion of software developers and folks with computer science degrees and years and years and years of software development experience. That has effectively now gone away, which means that, you know, the average person, you, me, our friends, like, all we need is command of the language. We need a good idea, we need passion, and we need a problem statement that we deeply care about. And we can do this just as well as a software developer can.
And one thing that stands out is the idea that you don't have to be a technical expert to launch a successful company anymore. What do you think has changed?
Yeah, well, I think these coding agents are really powerful, Dan. You know, it effectively makes all of us technologists. It makes all of us builders. And that has been the big step function change here, where you know, tools like Claude Code and Kiro and Cursor, these tools now effectively make you know, building software a problem that is about giving it commands in English language, not about understanding the syntax of code. That has been the big step function change here for sure.
And as founders get started, what are some common mistakes or blind spots that could slow them down?
Yeah, really glad you asked that, Dan. We, you know, we have spent years and years and years at AWS, you know, giving startup founders of all shapes and sizes all around the world a ton of guidance, a ton of, you know, what have we learned and how do we help them get to a place where they need to get so that they're successfully executing, you know, their business. And oftentimes what will get looked over are things like cost optimization and security. You know, when you get an idea, it really takes a hold of you and you want to move really, really fast. And that's precisely what we want people to do. You know, all that guidance that we've given to customers over the years on cost and security, we have effectively bottled all of that up, and we've put that in a new AI that we just launched a few days ago called the AWS Startup Advisor. So folks that are going to be using the AWS Startup Advisor now have an AWS expert at their beck and call, right? They can basically talk to it, they can ask it questions, and the Startup Advisor will be looking out for them too. They'll be looking out for them when it comes to things that they may be overlooking, like cost and security.
And how can AI help startups move more quickly from spending money and building products to actually generating revenue?
Yeah, again, because of the speed at which you can move now, Dan, like the time to value cycle has been massively compressed. You know, what would have taken months, if not quarters, and a whole host of different types of experts to build, you know, an app, a site, a piece of software, that now is, you know, the job of an AI and an individual that can talk to that AI. That means you can get your ideas in the hands of customers sooner. That means your customers can give you feedback more quickly on how they'd like to see those products improve. And that means also that at some point in time, it's a lot faster to get customers to pay you for those services. So really the compression cycle, the compression of the cycle now being measured in days and weeks really allows for founders to get to revenue way quicker than is ever historically possible.
All right, Deep, where can we go for more information?
Yeah, so you will go to, you know, open your browser and you will go to startups.aws. You type in startups.aws in your browser. And there you'll see, you know, the Startup Advisor. You can download it. It's absolutely free to use. And I really do. I'm really excited for all the people out there that are going to be able to use it, bounce ideas off it, and ultimately, you know, see a lot of their ideas come to fruition.
All right. I want to thank you for joining me today.
Appreciate the time, Dan. Thank you.
Summer can be great for a lot of things, but sleep isn't always one of them. If you're ever spending the night flipping your pillow over trying to find that cool side, you're not alone. Justine Santinello is here with us today with some simple ways to make your bedroom work with you instead of against you when it comes to those temperatures that are climbing. Welcome to the show, Justine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So, what happens during the summer that makes getting a good night's sleep harder for so many people out there?
Sure. I think there's a few things, but honestly, one of the biggest reasons is temperature, right? And as somebody who runs hot naturally all year long, I can tell you firsthand that when your sleep environment is too warm, that's when you're going to experience that restless, more fragmented sleep. And that's why it's so important to create an overall space that helps the body feel calm and to stay cool, which is really essential, not just for falling asleep, but for staying asleep.
I'm one of those people that sleep like a rotisserie chicken. I'd be tossing and turning all night long. If somebody wants their bedroom to feel a little cooler or more relaxing, where are some easy places to start?
Yeah, so small changes, guys. So, blackout curtains, right? Soft lighting. Maybe you want to try an Edison bulb. Less physical clutter in the space. You want nice airflow, but also breathable bedding is really huge. So I recently switched over to the Bedshore Pure Woven organically grown bamboo viscose sheets. They have made such a difference. Everything now is light and breathable, and it really has become like my secret weapon to sleeping in these hot nights.
All right, there you go. We don't always think about bedding itself.
Right.
How can the material we're sleeping on affect comfort overnight?
It makes a huge difference, way more than you might think. So not all fabrics behave the same way when it comes to heat and moisture and airflow. That's why you want to choose those more breathable, moisture wicking fabrics, especially in the summertime. So these sheets on my bed, they're made from bamboo derived materials, which just naturally are lightweight and designed to promote airflow. Now, let's say you're using a traditional comforter. You can switch that out. So Bedshore makes this duvet cover set, which you can see on my bed right now, mixed with their sheets. It significantly has changed how my bed physically feels.
And when people are updating their sleep space for the season, what should they actually be looking for?
Yeah, so you want to focus on these three things, right? Breathability, softness, of course, and just simplicity. You want to choose bedding that feels light, supports airflow, and is going to help your body maintain that comfortable temperature throughout the night. So the Bedshore Pure Woven Bamboo collection is really an amazing choice for that breathable, smoother feeling while you sleep. And the collection has everything that you guys need. It has sheets and pillowcases and duvet covers that are all meant to work together to give you that cooler, really comfy sleep.
All right, where can people find more information?
Yeah, so you guys can find the whole collection on Amazon, and make sure you check back because Amazon Prime Day is coming up and you guys can shop those great deals.
Justine, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And that is it for Rise Unwind. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. You can find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Just look up at Rise Unwind. And until next week, that was the show we like to call Rise and Unwind.